to our first video of 2022. I hope you all enjoyed your New Year's celebrations, and I hope that this year is going to be a good and happy one for you. Now, tonight, I've got another cursed, scary stories for you. I was looking through this book and I stumbled upon the story of Ötzi the Ice Mummy. Now, it's a story that I'd heard of, but that I didn't really know an awful lot about. So, tonight, I'm going to be telling you all about Ötzi the Iceman and about the curse that's attached to him. So now, with that being said, and without further ado, let's get into the story, shall we? Alright. September 19th, 1991. A German couple named Erica and Helmut Simon are hiking in the Ötzi Alps near the border of Italy and Austria. Now, as they were descending from the peak that they had just climbed, they decided to take a shortcut off the beaten path. Now, when they did so, they suddenly saw something brown protruding from the ice. It was something that looked an awful lot like a decaying human body. Of course, the Simons decided to have a closer look. They could see the back of the head, the arms, and the back, but the bottom of the torso was still embedded in the ice. Erica Simon took a picture of their discovery and then they reported it at the Similon Refuge. Of course, this prompted the authorities to come out to the site. Obviously, when you find a lifeless body, the authorities are going to come. So, when they came and they examined the corpse that the Simons had found, they assumed the body belonged to a modern-day man who had recently suffered a deadly accident in the freezing mountains of the Ötzi Alps. Now, was assuming that this body had belonged to a modern-day hiker who had met a tragic fate in the mountains. Archaeologist Conrad Spindler made a shocking discovery. He determined, upon close examination, that the body found in the ice was definitely not a modern man. Instead, he was 5,300 years old. Needless to say, it was at that moment that they realized that Ötzi the Iceman was one of the most amazing archaeological discoveries of this century. Instantly, a team of archaeologists went back to the discovery site to see if they could maybe find more artifacts where the body was discovered, buried deep under the ice. They did, however, only stay there for 3 days because the winter weather was too harsh to work in. The following summer, a second team of archaeologists was sent out, surveying at the site for over a month. Now this second team was a lot more organised, and it also had more luck finding various artifacts that had belonged to the Iceman. His hat and his clothes and his shoes survived, as did his arrows, an axe, and dagger, and backpack, and all the other items that a Copper Age man needed back in the day. Naturally, being one of the most, if not the most important archaeological discoveries of this century, Ötzi's mummified body was subjected to all sorts of tests and scans and autopsies. Even though the body was 5,300 years old, they discovered a whole lot about Ötzi. 1. He was around 45 years old at the time of his demise. 2. While alive, Ötzi was approximately 165 centimeters tall. That's about 5'5", and he weighed about 38 kilos, or approximately 84 pounds, which is very, very light. Number 3. He had brown eyes and dark brown hair, and he had a typical Mediterranean skin tone, which makes sense for, the region that he was found in. Number 4. He had type O blood, was lactose intolerant, and had a rare genetic anomaly that prevented his 12th pair of ribs from forming. Number 5. Ötzi suffered from dental cavities, intestinal parasites, Lyme disease, and sore knees, hips, shoulders, and back. I can relate to that last bit. Number 6. Ötzi was covered in tattoos. He had 61 to be precise. Each group of tattoos was simply a cluster of horizontal or vertical lines. They were mapped out by scientists and found to cover his bones and joints that suffered wear and tear. They most likely had some sort of This revealed that he had been stabbed, or attacked at least, a few days before he died. The wound was an active defense wound, meaning that he likely tried to grab the blade as he was being attacked. This wound was still healing when he eventually passed away. Number 9, the last one. At first glance, Ötzi's death seemed to be an unfortunate accident, but then they discovered an arrowhead lodged in his left shoulder. This arrowhead apparently punctured a major artery when it struck. Now that, combined with the conclusion that Ötzi was not on home turf when he died, suggests that he may have been part of a raiding party against a neighbouring tribe. He may have had time to sit down and perhaps try to pull the arrow out, but it's unlikely he could have reached it before he bled to death within minutes. Because of all of these discoveries, his death was ruled a murder. While this is all, of course, very interesting, you are probably wondering why I'm telling you all of this. How is this a scary story? You see, when Ötzi the Iceman was extracted from his icy grave, it wasn't just a massive win for science. The discovery also came with a cost. Not only was Ötzi violently killed back in the day, he was also poked and prodded and photographed before he was extracted from the Alps. Some say that that's why Ötzi was out for revenge. The curse of the Iceman claimed 7 lives in total. The first victim was Raina Hen. Now, Raina had the honour of placing Ötzi's frozen body in a body bag. It's possible that this act ultimately cost him his life. In 1992, Raina was travelling to a convention where he was actually going to talk about the discovery of Ötzi. He wouldn't even make it to his destination because he tragically got into an accident. As this happened 1 year after the discovery of Ötzi, Raina was the first potential victim of the Iceman's curse. In 1993, the curse claimed another life. This time, the unlucky man was Kurt Fritz. Fritz took his place in history by leading researchers to Ötzi's body. He also organized the transportation of the remains of this ancient man. In 1993, Fritz was hiking in the Alps himself, and he was leading his expedition group. Now, Fritz was an experienced guide, so nothing could go wrong, right? Wrong. During this excursion, an avalanche hit the group, and discovered Ötzi's body in the first place, he went hiking in the Alps again in October of 2004. Only this time, he didn't return. Due to the snowy conditions, it took the search party 8 days to finally discover his body. When they found him, Simon had fallen more than 300 feet to his death. Now, oddly enough, his body was found near the excavation site of the Iceman 13 years prior. Now the next one is scary. Dieter Warneck wasn't part of the original Ötzi excavation or research crew. He quite frankly had nothing to do with the Iceman, but was in fact the leader of the search party that was looking for Helmut Simon when he disappeared in the Alps in 2004. You know what I've just told you about. Now, Warneck died mere hours after the funeral of Helmut Simon. The seemingly healthy 45-year-old passed away after, just out of the blue, having a heart attack. What? Then, in 2005, the Iceman's curse claimed another life. Remember Konrad Spindler, who was the scientist that initially examined Ötzi's body and determined that he was a really, really old corpse from the Copper Age? Remember him? Well, he died as well. Now, Konrad Spindler, he didn't believe in the curse. Now, during an interview, he even joked about it, and I don't know if you've seen my video on the origin story of the original Annabelle doll. Well, if you've watched that, you know that it's always a bad idea to joke about curses. Now, during this interview, Konrad said, quote, "I think it's a load of rubbish. It's all media hype. The next thing you will be saying is, I will be next." Now, this was ironic, and I do mean actually ironic, not the kind of ironic that Alanis Morissette sings about in the song Ironic, because that's just all bad luck. Now this was ironic, because Konrad Spindler, was indeed the next person associated with Ötzi to die. He passed away in the same year, in 2005, due to complications from multiple sclerosis. The next victim was Rainer Holtz. Now, Rainer Holtz was the only person allowed to film the recovery of his body, and he later turned his footage into an hour-long documentary. It may have been a mistake to show Ötzi's face to the world, as Holtz died at age 47 from a brain tumor shortly after finishing the film. The last victim, at least thus far, was Tom Loy. Tom was a molecular biologist who famously identified 4 different types of blood on the Iceman's clothes and tools, which has been the star of the South Tyrol Museum of Archaeology in Bolzano since 1998. And when I say star, I do actually mean the star. The museum dedicates not one, not two, but 3 floors to this singular glacier mummy. The museum even has a lifelike Hollywood special effects quality reconstruction of Ötzi, and it's made of silicone, resin, and human hair, showing what he might have looked like in his less dead days thousands of years ago. As for the Iceman himself, he is kept in a cold room, and he is viewable through a window where he continues to outlast everyone else on this planet. Now that was the story of Ötzi the Iceman. It is mind-boggling to me that 7 people who all had something to do with Ötzi in their own way died. And it wasn't just, from old age, or there are literal people who just dropped dead. One moment they're healthy, the next just dead. Heart attack or something like that. That is properly mind-blowing to me. I wouldn't go and test the curse if I was you. I mean, it has taken 7 lives. That's quite a lot.